Working on the 442 today. As you can see, I have the door back off. So we put high build on there, blocked it out. That door is basically done. This fender here is basically done as well. But what I didn't like is the hinges were creaking on that door really bad. Here's the hinge. You may recall I replaced this roller. You can go back in that other video if you want to see how to do that. I was just going to try to skip by with putting these replacement bushings in here. But they're kind of sloppy and it was creaking, and this wasn't chipped when I put it in here, but it chipped popping the thing out. But you notice there's like a bronze bushing and then steel bushing. Maybe that had something to do with the creaking. So I don't know how well you can see it, but this hole is actually like ovaled out, and this one is to a degree as well. So I'm going to attempt to make these holes round again as best I can with some drill bits and some reamers. And I got some 932 bearing bronze. I'm going to try to machine a couple bushings out of that. So I'm going to try to make the bushings fit whatever holes I get perfectly, and then have a wider thrust surface top and bottom. Bushing's actually upside down right now. I was contemplating how I'm going to do this. You can kind of see how screwed up that hole is, and you can see how much plays in there. And then to top it off, it's like compounding. There's play in the pin to the bushing. So I'm going to try to get the new bushings to fit the pin real tight. That was the case in both. This one wasn't as bad. But in doing this, I realized that this hole is smaller than this one. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult than I thought. So this hole is slightly egg-shaped too. This repair bushing was like splined. I want to have all the meat I possibly can on the bushing. The pin itself is pretty tight in here. There's a hair bit of play in the bottom. We did have the door adjusted in where all the gaps lined up, but we had it like up all the way, and the adjustment was at the end. So I'm hoping I can tighten these up and have a little bit of adjustment left. I'll probably do this hinge too. I mean, looks like there's some play in the bottom. Not much, but might as well make it tight because I never want to take these doors off again. Tramming this mill in here, I'm a complete beginner when it comes to machining, so anything I say can and probably will be wrong. I have to grip this in there, try to get it in there square, but you know, I'm looking at it and this metal is actually curved. The backside looks straighter. So I'm just going to get this whole deal as close as I can, and that's the best I can do. This bit that I got for larger holes is actually undersized, miscalculated a little bit. So I'm just going to run the reamer through it, and that's what it's going to get. This reamer's 2% oversized to that drill bit for steel, and for the soft metal it's going to be a reamer that's 3% oversized to the drill bit. Just Googled it, printed out a chart. I feel like a hack, but hey, I'm just learning. So this is like the only way I could come up with to chuck this in there with what I got. I got really limited tools for this mill. And then I indexed the face of that bushing with the spindle, got that square, and then used a center finder to find the center of that bushing. So I'm gonna lock my X and Y, and then see if I can ream it. Put this deal on here. It was a pain going up and down with that Z. That's all that thing is. It's like a wiggler. I wasn't even sure how to use it. I had to look at some YouTube videos on that, so I could be using it completely wrong for all I know. It's gonna get me close enough for this here door hinge. I can only chuck this so deep because it's like stepped. I'm not really spinning this thing that fast. Let's see what happens. All that for that. It's closer to a perfect hole. I get that first hole flipped upside down now. You can see that reamer got all the way around the top of it, but it didn't get everything quite on the bottom. So I probably could have went one size bigger. I'll check my reamer, see if I have a bigger one. I got like a over-under reamer size set. Maybe I'll check that and go another like 10 thousandths on it or something. I got that bit choked up as much as I could. Yeah, Yeah, that didn't get it done. It's just touching one side. Here's my over-under Chinese reamer kit coming to the rescue. This could be more than 2% cut. Too bad, so sad. Didn't even hardly touch it. Didn't want to do this, but I'm going to take this hole just under 1/2 inch. Oh yeah, this one's going to be square now. Alright, this is a 4990 reamer in that same hole. This is 10 thousandths over 500. Back to side one. Didn't even touch it. I think I'm just going to leave it there, and that's as good as it's going to be. Alright, I'm trying to put a center on this, see what happens. Putting a live center on it here. Now I got it in a steady rest. I'm going to try to do a quick face to it. I'm going to cut this whole thing down to, I figure, about 800. And I think that'll fit in the hinge. Not a critical measurement. The OD is about 770, and this flange, the originals were about 600, at least these replacements. So this distance here doesn't really matter. It can be a little bit longer. And both of them on this were about 50 thousandths. I'll cut the first one to diameter and then cut it off for length. Just moving the compound in a little bit, trying to sneak up on it. All right, so diameter, I'm gonna try to square it up now. Hopefully without screwing it up. I think that's about as close as I'm gonna get. Got some Dicam on there. This flange is about 50 thousandths. So I'm gonna mark it at that, see how close I can get with that cutting tool. So here's the $1,000,000 question. Does it fit in here? Look at that. No play whatsoever. Don't have those weak splines going on. And I'm gonna set this up in the mill and ream it to get the pin to fit. I mean, I could have reamed it on the lathe, but I want to have them both in here and then ream them at once in hopes to get them into alignment. There's definitely a bevel on it. I guess I could take it back out and face it in the lathe. I'm all set up here, so I'm just going to repeat, make another one, and then we'll try to get it to fit. I definitely have to face these bushings on. Alright, I got the thickness of both of these flanges right at 50 thousandths, right where these were. I was hoping to act like a thrust surface to help the thing this way, you know, keep it in alignment. We'll see if it works out. I got this thing together. Good snug fit that way, so there's no side deflection. And both these bushings are like pressed in. So I'm going to attempt to run the reamer through it just like that. Hopefully they stay in place. Here are my failed attempts at bushings. I started wasting less and less material. Just turning it a couple thousandths under each time and enough to ruin it. I got a cowl that fit the drill bit, and I'm just gonna get the vise into position where you can grab this just like that. And then I'll be centered for the reamer. Alright, this is the money shot. Are the bushings gonna spin in there? Can I get it through both bushings? 0.339 reamer and it pins 0.339. it is tight. I'm gonna go polish this pin on the wire wheel. All right, let's try this again. I think it's gonna work. I'm gonna take this reamer out here. Oop. Lost my position there. Boys and girls, I think she's too tight. I think what I'm gonna do is I'll just take I'm gonna take this pin to the lathe, chalk it up, take some sandpaper and just polish it just a little bit more. Probably need like 1,000ths of clearance or something. I mean, that's basically a perfect fit. I just polished all the like anodizing off this pin. See, there's very little play there. There is a hair, but that's okay. It's not like wicked sloppy like it once was. I'm gonna put a little grease on this pin and these bushings. Let's see if I can get this together. To try to clean this off when I'm done. It hasn't repainted yet. Pin went this way. See, it's a closed, open. That, folks, is a hinge with no play. Seems to work fine. I think I'm gonna run it and see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't creak. I mean, it was giving this god-awful creak before. I think I am going to do one other thing just to be an asshole. If you remember, there was a hair bit of play on this pin. I think I'm going to tack that pin in. Doing something like this makes me want to take the hood hinges back apart and do those proper. The pin was maybe moving like 1,000ths. Now it's not moving at all. There you have it. One super tight hinge. I probably worked like 3 hours on this, maybe 4. I'm sure the rest of them will go faster now that I know what I got to do. I guess that's it for this video. I'm going to get the other one hopefully tomorrow morning. We can get the driver's door back in the car and then continue with the rest of the body work, at least at what we're going to do. The goal is to try to get this car out the door sometime in April.